guys, welcome to another episode of the podcast room. Listen, we're in season 2, and with Mother's Day approaching, actually by the time you see this, it will be Mother's Day, but this podcast is centered around Mother's Day, and I have two mothers with me. We're just going to talk about motherhood. It's just going to be a conversation, an encouraging conversation, and we hope that it resonates with you and that it encourages you in the places that you need to be encouraged. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Ring the bell. Share this with another mother. Listen, most of us, we wear a lot of titles in addition to being mom, right? So you never know what a mother may need. This podcast will be like water to every woman that watches. So as you guys know, I'm Courtney Lawrence, and I have two amazing women in our ministry with me. So ladies, I want you to first introduce yourself. And since this is centered around motherhood, I want you to state how many children you have and the ages, because they vet. So I'm gonna sit in the seat of a student because I'm still new to this. So let's go. Let's start off with you, Sister Benton.
Hi, I'm Linda Benton. I have two children, a daughter, Timland, which would be 27 this year, and Nehemiah, he would be 24 this year.
Hi, I'm Sister Bab, Vernie Bab. I have two children. Shakina Bab, she's 47, and Ron Bab, and he is 45, I think. I can't keep up with the numbers.
They up there.
Yeah.
I have one, my little boy, my baby boy, Sire, and he just turned 3. So I'm still in the thick of it. Y'all pray for me. But I want to start off with just talking about the joys of motherhood, right? I think when I first became a mom, one, we're going to talk about the evolution, because you do change, right? Mm-hmm. Our bodies typically change. That's just natural, right? We don't look the same. Some of us are blessed to look the same right. after carrying a child. But there's so much evolution that comes with the mother once she becomes a mom, and even mother figures, right? Because right. there's a selflessness that should fall on you. So what are some of the joys of motherhood? Like thinking back. Want me to go first? I'll go first.
Okay.
One of the joys in motherhood is love. This is just a pure type of love that when I come in the house, right, let's say if I go in the city and I'm working, and I come in the house, and even with my husband, Sai would say, "Mommy, Daddy," and just run. And I didn't do anything. I didn't bring the gift. I didn't bring ice cream. I didn't bring fruit snacks. And it's just a front row seat to having someone just love you because you're just you. You don't have to dress up. You don't have to present gifts. They just love you because you're you. So I think that's one of the joys of motherhood with me.
True.
What would you say, Sister Linda?
Well, with me is just like you say, is love. Mm-hmm. But the fact that God has entrusted you with a person that you can groom and shape and teach morals and values and stuff like that, and just the fact that you can be able to just train this person up to be what God has set him to do or her to do. In that sense, I'm like saying, because we know a mother is to be the character builder. Yeah. So the fact that you have to instill in them, and you're never forever teaching. You're always teaching and learn and trying to instill them the best that they can be. And the fact that that's a 24 hours, 7 days a week, or it's an ongoing process. You never have really actually time to yourself, because everybody needs you and everybody mm-hmm. wants you. And most of all, I find you got to have a lot of patience and everything, because when everybody's pulling from you from all angles and different things, you never have time for yourself. And as a mother, we always put ourselves last. Mm-hmm. We care for everyone else, and sometimes we can be on our last, trying to struggle, and we need attention ourselves, but we still yielding it to someone else. So the most important thing I find is that you can shape this person into what you think or you hope that God has entrusted you to do.
That's good. That's so good.
That's true. I'm coming from what both of the women just said. It is so true. When you have even the first child, it's joy and mm-hmm. peace, and wow, you don't know what to expect and what to do. This is a learning process then. But then after the first one, then you come into the second or third, whatever. You learn a little bit more each time. You know, how to be patient, how to do what you have to do for them. And like she said, you don't have time for yourself because you're looking out for your child. You don't want anything to happen on your watch. Mm-hmm. You know, you want everything to be nice. Sometimes they might do things you don't like or want them to do, but still, it's your child. You still have to have the patience and know how to sit down and talk to them and let them come to you with problems. You know, you may not like some of the things they're saying, but sit down and listen, you know, to what they're saying and try to guide them in the best way you can. Because like in the older days, our parents tried, you know, they did the best they can. But, you know, with us being older than, I'll be 75 this month. So I'm going back years. My parents, we didn't have, but what we did have was love. Mm-hmm. You know, we didn't, you know, we wasn't fancy, we wasn't dressed up and all that, but we had love coming from our parents. So if they showed the love, and then you could still show your children love, even when they get grown and they still know that they could come to you. Yeah. And talk to you, you know, and, you know, sometimes you may not want to hear what they have to say, but if they know that they could come and just say, Mom, so-and-so happened. What do I do? Mom, how can, you know, I might need help. If the parents just have to just try to do the best we can and love them. Love is the most important thing, you know. Love your child.
It is. When my mom, when I became a mom, I feel like me and my mom's relationship got closer. Not that we were drifted apart, but there were certain questions that I was asking in certain conversations that we would have because now I'm in the role of a mom, right? And I remember one of the things she said to me, she said, well, when I became a mom, it didn't come with a handbook. She said, you know, they cut you out of me. They gave me some medicine. They sent me home saying the next appointment is in 2 days. But it wasn't a handbook on how to do it. She said, I totally relied on God. And she said, that's when my relationship with God grew stronger because I knew I needed him because I had this little girl in my hands at 33. She had me at 33. And I didn't know what to do. She said, you know, I was married at the time and I had my mom, but there were certain things that I didn't want to repeat from past traumas. And it was just a heaviness. So she said, I had to rely on God. So one of the questions that I want to pose to you guys, how has motherhood shaped your faith and your relationship with God? Because it's not an easy walk, right? Especially when your child is sick and you just feel so hopeless. I remember when my son was sick, and yes, I was praying and I was crying and I was worried, but one of the things that stuck into my mind, I said, I wonder how Mary felt. Because she had to watch her son just go through this whole, we don't even have to go, you know, just go through this whole trial and tribulation, but she was there and present. So how has motherhood, from the beginning, even until now, right, because your children are grown, how has that shaped your relationship with him or strengthened it or just took it to a new level?
Well, with me, I can say that, like you said, from the beginning, there is no handbook in teaching you how to be a mother. Everything is firsthand and experience. And just like also Bab says, the first one when you run into everything is you want to make sure this is done, and if the child cough, you call in the pediatrician and you're doing this and you make sure that. But the second one is like, oh, if you fall off and bump it, it's okay, he'll be all right, because you have got that encouragement, you have got that experience, and you more. I would say you more or less like, okay, if it's going to happen, it's nothing serious to that point. How has it shaped my relationship with God is that, first of all, it's going to give you a prayer life. You're definitely going to have a prayer life, because at the end of the day, you're going to need God to help you through every situation, no matter how extreme it is. It can be a small situation, but you're a new parent, so everything you need God to guide you through. And the fact that you have God there for guidance, it makes it much easier, because you know that he said he'll never leave you or forsaken you. And also you have to realize, what me in that situation, I was like, well, God, when it goes back to the beginning in Genesis, when God gave the sin for what man did, what Adam did, and what Eve did, so he said a woman has to bear a child. So if this is part of God's plan for my life, then God is going to make me through it, because he already, before the foundation of the world, he already built me to do whatever he needed me to do. And then I also was that God entrusts me with this person to be able to do it. And I'm not taking that for any woman that hasn't bear, but the fact that God enlightened you to train up this child and to be what he wanted to be, that's all. To me, that was a blessing, because like I said, motherhood is not something that you really like saying, oh, I want to do this and I want to do, if I get married, this happened, whatever, because I was married for 4 years before I even decided to have a child. And I liked the fact that I was just, when me and my husband wanted to get up and go, we got up and go.
Yeah.
But when you get a child, it's different, because you just can't walk out the house.
Yeah.
You got to have a babysitter, or you got to have somebody responsible. So it started to be, okay, you go, I stay. I go, you stay. So I'm just saying, and all that, that's when you have to say, okay, God, help me through this. Because you're going to come up with some expected situation that you're not prepared for. He can only prepare you for what he needs to prepare you for.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good.
Again, I'm coming from you, because like you said, Courtney said, we don't get a handbook, you don't know, and especially when I had my daughter, my mother, nobody was around me to talk, I had to learn what to do, how to do it. And like you say, with that, truly, at the time, I wasn't saved. But after that, you became saved, because you had to call on God.
Yeah.
And trust him, because a lot of things that happens, like you say, if they got a fever, they got a cough, if they, you can't even sleep at night, because you're going to have to see, is the child okay? Are they breathing? So you have to really call on God and trust God, because God really did bring me through with whatever I went through with them, like you say, doing labor and all those labor pain. Nobody called. I guess when I was having my daughter, I guess the lady in the room with me thought I was a preacher. I'm serious, because I God all night. I had a long labor, so I'm saying, oh Lord Jesus, Jesus. You calling on him.
Yeah.
And after calling on him, and he bring you through that, and your kids come out okay. A lot of kids don't even come out. Some have some type of condition or something like that. But when God gives you a healthy child, nobody else did it but God. Because you could go to the doctor, they could say, oh, well, so-and-so this with the baby or so-and-so. But when you see that child come out, they don't have to be hooked up to nothing. They don't need no type of surgery. All they need is someone to love them and feed them. So that was my joy in my life. And I thank God. Right now, I thank God for all of my kids. I have step-kids, too, and I thank God for them. Because they treat me like a mom. They're not like stepchildren, like Bishop said, no such thing as stepchildren.
Absolutely.
No, they all call me mom. So I'm proud, and I thank God that they saw it in me and trust me in order to call me their mom. Okay, I believe God, I trust God, and I know he's with me.
Absolutely. You have to have that mindset, or that hat of trusting God from infancy to when they're grown, right? At 3, Sai has to go to school now, so it's just so much happening in the world. Sometimes your anxiety, your fear, CNN, the past, if something happened to you in school, that may try to creep up. And these things could really play with your mental. But it's so critical to just rely and trust in God. There's an evolution that should happen when you become a mother, or when you step in the seat of being a mother figure, right? Some women don't want children, but they're a mother figure to so many, women or men, and they sit in the seat of just nurturing these people. So there should be an evolution. There should be something that should push you to want to be better, because what you have in your hand, you're responsible for, and you want to be a good example, right? One of the things I want to touch on is balance, and I think you spoke on it in the beginning, right? Like when you're married, in the beginning it's just you and him, him, and then you insert someone else. And with moms, when we have one child or multiple children, sometimes we put ourselves last, right? One of the things I love about you ladies, I met all your children, always good, always well-mannered in church. How did you guys balance just marriage? If you worked, if you had like a side hobby, going to soccer practice or dance recitals or whatever the case may be, how did you balance it all with still coming home and giving 100% to your children and 100% to your husband?
That was challenging, and once I got out of it, I saw it and I didn't understand, and I still can't understand how I did it all, because when Timlin was born, Tim was on, I think he was on 8 to 3 shift. So when she was born, he was saying that I'm gonna change my schedule. So I'm like, you're gonna change your schedule? He said, yes. I said, what do you mean you're going to change your schedule? He said, I'm going to go from 6 to 2. I mean, 6 in the afternoon to 2 at night. So I said, you're going to go from 6 to 2? So he said, yeah. So I thought he was joking, because he said, I don't want my child to go to daycare. So I'm looking at him like, really? You don't want to go to daycare? So he said, yeah. So long story short, I really didn't. I had her in May. He did it in February. So I said, why'd you do it so early? He said, I did it because I want to make sure that I get the bid when I bid out. So he did. So then it worked for us, because I worked on Wall Street, and I was a Wall Street trader. So I had to be to work at 7. So by him coming in at 2, he would do the 2 o'clock feeding at night. So by then, I didn't have to get her up and take her out. I could leave her in her pajamas, and I can get to work on time. So that worked out good, because it built a bonding relation with him and her. It became that he knew everything that he needed to do, because he had her there during the day. So it was like it made that connection to them good, and also it helped me, because there was so much of relief that I didn't have to come in and do bowels. I didn't have to do that. He knew how to do that. And when I did go out, I felt comfortable, because he would have her all day, every day during the week. So that means I could get a relief by, if I wanted to go Saturday and go shopping, I felt comfortable leaving him with her there the whole day. And then as time got on, it became, when I came in the door, it was like, hi, Mommy. He come in the door, it was running to greet him, because they had built that bond, and that was good. And not onto that, it was like, I felt comfortable that I didn't have to take her anyplace. And also, it was a good thing, because it was a blessing for finance. We didn't have to pay for a babysitter.
Yeah.
We were just able to do, and it was always me and him. And we did that until she came to Pilgrim when she returned 2.5. I put her here in Pilgrim at 2.5. And I'm just saying, by doing that, it relieves a lot of tension and stress for me. I could go to work. I could feel comfortable. I got off at 4. So when I got off at 4, I would come home. I would cook dinner. I would do the things that I had to do, wash, and by most of the time, with anything to do with her, it was already done. So I didn't have that stress with that. So I had that time to kind of repair and get myself ready for the next day. And after that, for 2 years, he said, I want to start back running. So I brought her here to Pilgrim. She started here at Pilgrim. So when she started here at Pilgrim, she was already party trained at 1. She was, at 2. She was off the bottle at 1. So it was just so much by us switching off, and we stayed consistent in what we had to do. And that made it so everything, it just fell right in place. And I just thank God for that, because that part was so much easier. So when you did the transition, you were just able to just fall right in place in that sense.
I love that. Consistency, partnership, accountability, and it all just worked out. I like that.
Well, with my kids, my sister, I have 3-4 sisters here in New York, but my sisters was the one that when I had to go to work, we lived in the same building on different floors, but my sister kept my daughter. You know, when I went to work, I didn't have to worry about her. When my husband come home, he would go pick her up and just go upstairs, and that's it. So I really didn't have to send my kids to a daycare, because the family was like a family thing. You know, if you needed to do something, the family shared, the family shared. We all took care of one another's kids. So I didn't have a problem with babysitting. You know, just that, like you said, my husband, he changed his shift one time too, but he changed it from night to morning, like how you said. He went in through the day from 7, because I wouldn't get home till like after 5, but he was home by, he got off at 3, he was home by 4, so he would already pick up my daughter. And it wasn't a harsh thing, because I just had that one at the time. By the time I had my son, we had moved out from where we was, because we needed a big apartment, and it was a older lady in the building that kept kids, and she watched my son for me. So like you said, they didn't have to go into daycare. Mm-hmm. They was all brought up by someone you knew, an older person who taught them, what mm-hmm. to do and how to do it. Like you say, even the girls now, like my husband took to my daughter more than he did my son. But it's a thing in the world, like they said, the boys love their mothers and the girls love their fathers. So it wasn't a hassle or anything. I was proud of that. I was happy, because that gave me time to do what I wanted to do. If he wanted to take her out and walk or go somewhere, that gave me the time to do what I had to do in the house to get mm-hmm. it done and get ready for the next day, Mm-hmm. But like I said, through it all, God brought us through, and I'm proud of them.
One of the things that stuck out, consistency and having a village that you trust.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 2 key things that I got from takeaways, mm-hmm. Just balancing it all. And even for the moms who are not married, sometimes you just need balance for your own
mm-hmm. Yes.
because you don't have a minute. And to be totally transparent, there's this invisible hat that some of us, I know I put it on initially, of just trying to get it all right. Like we want to show up for work. We want to definitely show up, mm-hmm. For our children. We want to be the best mom that we could be, but perfection does not exist. So take a minute and pray and figure out how can you balance it all so that you're good. Because self-care, that's a big thing. One of the things my mom taught me, she said, if you're not good, if you're not 100%, how can you pour from an empty cup? Your child is going to feel, mm-hmm. when you're burnt out, when you're stressed, when you're tired. Like, you don't want to bring that energy in. And the other takeaway I got from you guys was that if God called you to it, that he will give instructions mm-hmm. and just different strategies on how to just navigate motherhood successfully. Would y'all agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. My mind went back to the story of Mary. The Bible says that God chose her to be conceived by the Holy Ghost. And after that happened, Joseph, in his mind, he said, I was going to put her away privately. But after that, an angel from the Lord came to Joseph and said, you will not put her away privately. He gave her instructions. And although that moment was about Joseph, I just put my mind in the seat of Mary, because she never asked for this. She was minding her business. She never asked to be chosen by God. She was engaged, but yet she's faced with this mantle. And back then she could have got killed, for getting having a child out of wedlock. So I feel like when you're placed in the seat of motherhood, from that scripture alone, from that story, that God will send people, your village of trust. He will give you instructions. He will give you strategies on how to navigate through it. Never think that you're alone in motherhood. Never think that you're by yourself. Never think that your children are a mistake. Never think that the people around you that have chosen you to be their, whether a spiritual mother or a mother figure, are a mistake, because God will give you instructions on how to navigate through that. I want to end with this topic. One of the scriptures that I kept near to me during the initial rough stages of motherhood was cast your cares on God. Cast your cares on me, because I careth for you, because there's so much anxiety, as we talked about, just being a mom. What would you say to the mother that's listening, to the mother that's watching, bottles in the sink, trying to figure out how she's going to, navigate through it, trying to find a job, trying to figure out how she may feed the kids? What is one scripture or one story, one mother in the Bible that you could just encourage her with, and just to let her know, keep going, God sees and he will help you out?
I would say, first of all, we're not perfect.
Yeah.
Only God is perfect. So no matter what you're going through, and I don't want, like people say, oh, you keep going back. to God, but God is the only one that's really,
Yeah.
really is gonna get you through. Okay, like if you overwhelm about the situation, like you said, that's why time a lot of kids are abused.
Yeah.
Because the parents not
Yeah.
understanding. They don't have the patience. They get anxiety. They figure that it's too much. This is not for me. I'm not gonna deal with this, and I'm just done. But I mean, everyone to a certain point, you may think that, but not to that level. But when you get to that point, you have to step back and take a breather. You really have to say, you know what? As I said, patience to me is really a lot, because you're going to endure a lot. And when you endure a lot, you can't attack everything right then and there, because a lot of times your emotion is not really where they
That's
should be.
good. Yeah.
So you can take out a lot of things because of, and then literally you're not aware. You're not aware of what you're doing. It's just that you're exhausted and you are tired. So when you get to that point, that's why I say sometimes it was easier for me. I didn't have that stress and stuff because I had a support system, my husband, that was able to relieve me of that. So a lot of time, my time was my time and everything. So I did the necessary that I needed, but I also had the time to relax or take that space away. So I would just say at that point is like, I don't really have a specific person. I just have the fact that whatever you're going through, and I always said this to myself, no matter whatever I'm going through, it's already planned before the foundation of the world. So with this day, May 5th, not that I knew that I was going to be sitting here, but God knew that I was going to be sitting here to encourage someone. Like I said, sometimes what we may think is light, it can be encouraging to somebody else, and it can be an inspiration to someone else. So I just say at that point, as I said again, God is the answer for every situation, and whatever you've done is already planned before the foundation of the world. So if you're going through it, He's going to bring you out. If you're going through it, it's going to be so smooth, because the Bible tells us we're going to have trials and tribulation. So in trials and tribulation, we know that we're going to have them. So the fact that we know that we're going to have them, He's going to bring it out even before we already out of the situation. When we look back, we're saying, "Oh my gosh!" Like when you asked before, how did with working and everything, whatever. Now that I look back on it, I was like, how did I came home? How did I cook? How did I clean? How did I do this? How did I go and change out summer stuff? How I do the house and whatever? And I'm like saying, my God, I'm here now and can't even do it day by day. And then you look at the thing that you went through.
Yes.
It was only God.
It was only God. And you went through it and didn't even know how bad it was or how much stress it was. And God still brought you out. So my thing is to just, again, God is the answer. And the fact that with me, when I realized, and I always go back and say, God, if you planned this before the foundation of the world, and this is the day that you have made, and I shall rejoice and be glad in it, so this is what you have for me for this day. So if you have this for me this day, I thank you that I'm alive to be able to endure this day. That's how I deal with my situation. I try not to get stressed over something that I have no control of.
I like that.
That is so true. Again, everything you talk about and you've been taught me, it's true. I don't have too much to say behind all that, because like God, like they said, God don't put on you no more than you could bear. And God knows He give us strength each day, because each day is different. Today might be a good day for you, tomorrow may not be. But God still give you the strength to do what you have to do and love your kids and treat them right, like you say. Sometimes, a lot of people don't know how to react, like how you see on the news, this one killed this 2-month-old, this one killed that 2-month. It hurts.
Absolutely.
It hurts. These babies don't know why they're crying. They don't know what's going on. And the person as an adult, if they see they can't deal with, if you try to talk to somebody, call on God. He will help you. If you don't have nobody there to help you, just ask God. He will send you somebody to help you through this. Even when you put your child in these daycare centers now, you got to be careful.
Yes, you do.
Because a lot of people doing it for the money, not out of love. And you sending your child there praying that they're going to be all right. And then you get a call saying, come. No. They need to talk to someone. If they don't talk to nobody, but they should have a friend that you could go to sometime. You know, but sometimes you can't even get a friend. But like you said, even if you're not saved, you still could talk to God and ask him for his help.
Yes, you can.
And he will provide it. Because I know I've been there. I've done that. And God still brought me through. Like you say, when you alone at home with your child, and like you say, you got to do this, you got to do that, and you're trying to do everything. Yes, you do get frustrated. You get tired and say, look, what am I going to do now? Mm-hmm. But just trust, calm down. Take a minute. Breathe. Take a minute. And get yourself together. And God will do the rest. Just say, all you got to say is, God, please help me. And surely he's there. You know, sometimes we don't think he's there, but he's there, right there, to protect us, protect the child, you know? So that's it. I enjoyed talking to you. Y'all gave me some good points. You know,
I enjoyed talking to you ladies too. I was a student in this, truthfully, because you guys, in my eyes, you done it right. I look at Timberland, I look at Shakina, and they good. I remember them being in church and that train up a child. That's the example. And they won't depart. One of the takeaways I'll leave with the audience, on top of all these other gems that these women have poured out, just remember, be a mother, then he will, like these women said, he will give you strategies. He will give you a village of trust to surround you during this chapter. Be encouraged. This will not be a sad Mother's Day for you. I don't care what you went through, what you experienced, who's there, who walked away. This will be a Mother's Day of joy, of peace, of love, and understanding. On behalf of all of us, Pastor Emil, Bishop Deborah Crow, and everybody at Pilgrim Church, have a joyful, let me try that home.
Yes.
Have a relaxing
Yes.
Mother's Day. You are loved. We'll catch y'all on the next podcast.